All right, so we are going to spend today talking about websites and the best ways to set them up. And what you're watching is a live stream of our pop-up group that PBK runs in the fall. So you're going to see people on camera, off camera, my good old trusty whiteboard, and we're going to walk through a bunch of questions that had been submitted from the pop-up group about websites. So we're not going to get to all of this today, but Elise and Bambi, I'll let, as we walk through this list, if you have something that's like, oh, I was also thinking about that, let me know and we can have that as a starting point. So when I ask people, what do you want on your website that you don't already have? What do you want to put on there? That kind of question, this is what came back. So we will cover all of this, but it'll probably take us a couple of lives to get through it. One was the cookie footer pop-up, which is easy to do. This is always a big question, which is when you're building your site, do you use the site pages or the standalone pages? Because that makes a huge difference in what you're able to do on your website, and you can make your life much, much easier just doing a couple. Elise is nodding. Elise knows this. And then the about page, which I will share one of my favorite tricks, which is make a template, clone that template, which also plays right back into this discussion about site pages versus a standalone page. Someone has asked me how I keep track of my website pages, both for myself and for clients. I use a tool called Funnelytics. There's a free version. To me, it's just a beautifully clean way to see where things are going so that you're really maximizing all the stuff that you're doing. Not for today, but the community feature, we'll talk about that on a different day. Blog came up, the calendar, being able to put a calendar on your website. I use this. I use a tool called Talkify. It is great. I use it inside products. I use it so behind my paywall. I also use it public facing, and on my website, works great. Sebastian had a bunch of questions about landing pages and some email stuff, which I think we'll save for another day, and people, which I think we'll save, and gamification. So today we were going to dive into websites. And Elise or Bambi, out of any of that, is there something that's pressing on your mind at all?
The cookies thing, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think I have cookies done on mine either, now that came up for discussion. And I have other questions, but they're not on that page. But go ahead with what you have, the people.
Yeah, the other thing for me, but I think you said that's for another time, is the gamification concept.
Oh. I think we will spend a whole live stream on gamification.
Yeah.
There are so many really, really cool ways to do it. And let me get this open real quick.
Yeah, and the other thing for me is I'm just starting my signature program, and I'm really trying to figure out where I'm going to land my community. And I am experiencing your place. I'm hearing your limitations on community. You're in a community network. Yeah.
Yeah, on Kajabi's community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is on my list as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrote that down.
Oh, and definitely the site pages versus standalone. That sounds super important.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
But I always have plenty to keep me busy. Always. We never run out of things to talk about. But we'll start with the cookie policy, and then we'll segue into site pages versus standalone pages, because how you set up your cookie policy is definitely impacted by whether you choose to use site pages or standalone pages to run your website. So you, Bambi and Elise, you guys both have access to Bizzlebox. So for you guys, all you need to do is go in, where's the website stuff? It's in here. Nope. We're gonna just search. Yeah, I don't even know where all my stuff is inside here. So just go in here, we'll search for cookie. And there's two pieces when you're dealing with your cookies. There's the cookie policy, which unless you are making changes to your Kajabi site, Kajabi tells us what they track. So you can read through this, but which you guys can download and customize, no problem. So you have your cookie policy, which is what are you tracking? Well, Kajabi really doesn't track anything except essential activities. Like when I log in, it just takes me to my library or takes me to my admin page. But if you're adding a bunch of stuff in your tracking, you just have to let people know what it is that you're doing. I have Google Analytics turned on and I have the Facebook pixel integrated on my Kajabi site, but I don't use them for anything. So I mention them in mine, but I don't do anything with it. This is also, I think, a good time as you guys are working on your legal stuff to, you can see in this picture, see how I had all of, in the top example, like everything took up my entire footer.
Mm-hmm.
It was just messy, cluttery. We'll go with cluttery, but everything there is essential and required. What I did instead, I just made one standalone page in Kajabi and added links to everything. So on one page, I put privacy policy, linked it, terms, linked it, so that in my footer, I didn't have to put all of those things separately. So as you're working and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't put anything else in my footer. Legal's taking up everything.
I did the same thing and it worked out beautifully. I just have one page and I just remembering now I did have cookies that I put on there. Mm-hmm. And that's such an easy way to do it.
Yeah, because then it gives you, people want other things that are there. And so it gives you real estate. And when you need to, send somebody there or they want to go there, it's just really clean. In fact, I can, let me pull up mine real quick. Vicky, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Cool. So happy to see you.
Very nice to see you too. I thought it'd be nice to pop in and see what's happening in the world.
See what we're doing over here?
Yep.
We're having fun. Very exciting cookie policy sharing going on here.
Okay.
So here, this is by footer. So if I just click on legal, and I'm a big, this is Premier. So it's still an old page that I have, but I put my contact form everywhere because people, as they're wandering around, and this is for any of us, questions start percolating. Just because it's a boring page, which I would classify most legal as the boring stuff, essential but boring, you can put this right here. So it doesn't have to just be your legal stuff. So you can make the pages work for you. But then right here, you can see if you were to click on any of these, it would take you to those different places. So that's your cookie policy portion. Now, the other part is the pop-up. So when you visit sites, you'll see we use cookies and you have to click the button, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. That's the actual pop-up version. And inside, so I'm gonna pull up the one that I have found very easy to use. There's many different ones out there, but it's something similar to this. So you can create your cookie policy, and then you add it into your Kajabi site. So questions on that before we segue into site pages versus standalone pages? Because
if I already have a cookie policy thing popping up, do I need to go in and like change verbiage, or is it just we use cookies, wanted to let you know?
Yeah, there's two components. So one is the notification, hey, we use them. The second is the actual policy and the the wording behind it that lives on your site. So if you have the pop-up, perfect. If you haven't added a cookie policy yet, then as you're working through Bizzlebox stuff, you just create the cookie policy.
Okay, and that's a standalone page.
Okay. That can totally be a standalone page.
Great. And how does it pop up? How do you get the pop-up part?
Based on whatever tool you are using. So this right here is what causes the pop-up. So you have to get code from here, and you'll see this one's pretty easy to use, which is why I like it. So I can say, what do I want it to be? Okay, I want it to be a bar. I want it to be on the bottom. Let's see. We're just gonna make everything normal. There we go. We're just gonna copy the code. So all of this code is gonna go in one, or it goes in location. I'm gonna show you if you're using standalone pages on your site. There's a big difference. So you would copy this code, and what we want it to do is when someone lands on, they get the pop-up. What we don't want to create for people is the user experience if we're using site pages that every single time they go to a site page, that pop-up keeps coming up, even though the only place that we're using it is on the home page. And if we don't put it on the standalone page, then they'd never see it. So let me jump into Kajabi so I can show you what I mean.
So you're saying it should go on every page because they might just get a link somewhere, and then if they just went directly to the link, they'd never see the pop-up, right? Unless they went back to the
you want to make sure it's on your home page or wherever you send traffic to. Okay. That's where you want to make sure that it is. Like I said, and if you're not tracking, like if you're not crazy custom coding things, and the whole point of privacy policy laws, cookies, we have a right to our information for it to not be manipulated in ways that can be detrimental to us. So when you're dealing with it, and your companies that are profiling things or tracking behaviors and then doing targeted things, which they usually end up breaking the laws when they're doing those targeted things, that's what they're designed, that's what they're designed to do. So go into Kajabi. Can you guys see Kajabi, the test site? Yeah. So if you're doing site pages and you don't have the Kajabi plan where you can edit the code, because the instructions are you have to be able to go into the code, put it after the head script, and add that in. So I think now you have to have like the highest level of Kajabi. I'm hoping they'll change that at some point, but it doesn't matter because there's a way around it. So under settings, I think it's under site details. Right here. So see where it says header page scripts? This, whatever you put in that box, will be placed in the head section of every site page. Not every page every website page. The way you know which is a site page and which is a standalone page is which door you go through to get to that page. So if you're on website and you click on pages, you went in the pages store. So you are on standalone pages or pipeline, which is just standalone pages grouped together. If you go in the design door, see where it says website pages, these are site pages. So when you put that code in settings, it's going on the header of every single site page that you have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we go on pages, and then let's find a home page. Go. Let's see. What we want to do is take that code, and you can do this with a variety of things. You want to put it into a custom code block. So when you take the code and you put it in the custom code block on a page, it does the same thing, but that cookie pop-up will only stay on this page. So your home page where you're directing traffic to, and this is Premier. Can I not add custom content? Oh, there it is, custom code. So right in here, I can paste that code and then hit save. So that's how you can put it in depending on what you're using.
So you're saying that you can take, they just changed my, I had Premier and then they went over to like something that starts with an E. Is there another? Encore, right. So that to me, like, I have no idea what all that means. But
it's a different,
so explain that to me.
Yeah, Premier versus Encore. Just a second, I'll drop it and it'll make things a little more sense. Okay, so Premier, it's really the functionality of how we experience it and how you can build it. So the way that I keep it in my brain is if I picture cars, a Honda four-door sedan and a Ford four-door sedan or a Mercedes four-door sedan, they're both four-door sedans. Like they're both a page, they're both a car, but they perform differently. They have different functionality and different features. Mm-hmm. And you can't cross over from one to the other. Like you have to pick up and switch vehicles. Sorry, Encore. Okay. So Encore, which was released 2019, I want to say Premier was 2017, 2016. Mm-hmm. Premier currently is a theme for website, product, and pages. So you can choose Premier for your site, you can choose it for a product, or you can choose it for your pages. Encore, what's been released so far to everybody is just pages. So if someone says, oh, I want an Encore site, we just build it with the pages. We make the about page, you make the work with me, you make the home, like whatever it is. Yeah. It just has different functionality. That's the difference between the two. They don't end up looking the same because you can, they have different steering wheels and they have different seats and stuff like that. The basic elements are there, but they do look different.
So when you showed us something, did you have an Encore page with a Premier component added into it?
No.
Okay.
No. You can't, they don't cross over, but okay. They have a lot that are named the same. So okay. When you go, let's go back into Kajabi. So this I know is a Premier page because it was when it was created, it was early March or maybe it was Encore version 1.0. Where does it tell me? There is a little piece. Oh, right here.
Updated, yeah.
See where it says theme and it says
Mhm.
Premier right there.
Mhm.
Now, if I go back to pages and I pick a page that's, like this one, we just created it. This is the test site, so it's always kind of messy over here. This says Encore right here. So you'll either have a Premier site, product, or page, and currently you can have Encore pages. But because you can link pages together, which this is really one of the most basic starting points when you're putting together your Kajabi website, is, are you going to use all of the site pages, or are you going to use standalone pages? So let me just get myself a little bit more room here. All connected. There we go. That didn't work so well.
Is this the Zoom whiteboard you're doing?
No, this is my iPad, and then I have the Good Notes app. So okay. It's my favorite toy ever.
Yeah, it's pretty groovy.
Favorite toy ever. I can do anything. Give me my whiteboard. I am so happy. I can do anything. So if I'm using a site page, honestly, to me, they feel really restrictive. So you can spend all this time making a home page, but you can't clone it and reuse it. So you might have the most beautiful thing, but you're like, oh, now I got to rebuild the whole darn thing again. So this, when you do the home page, it's just there. But you can do the same thing, which I like so much better, with standalone pages. So I can make this beautiful home page, and I'm like, wow, I love it. It is so awesome. Cool. Guess what? I need an about page now. No problem. Literally 2 seconds. I clone it. I edit it minorly. And now I have an about page. Oh, now I need a contact me page. Okay, no problem. Again, 2 seconds. Clone, edit, contact me page. Oh, now I need a work with me page. Clone, edit, work with me. Then you use navigation menus, because those all have their own URL. So you use the navigation menu to link everything. So my site, if you go to tamsinhorton.com, it's all landing pages. I don't use any of the site, I don't use the site pages other than login, you have to, library, you have to, and the blog, you have to. So on this portion, it's everything that's under design right here. So again, we always pay attention to what door we went through. We go through the design door. Currently, these are all site pages. So this home page, if you customize it and it looks great, you got to rebuild it. I'm not big on rebuilding. I'm big on let me clone and move on.
Yeah.
Because it takes too much time as it is to build stuff. I don't need to rebuild it all the time. But the library you would use, for various reasons that we won't go into on this call, don't use the store, don't use the sales page, because it's not really it is a sales page, but it's not going to look the way you want it to look. Login, yes, you will use it. The 404 page, yes, you can customize that. And then the blog, if you're using Kajabi for the blog, you can use that. Everything else, you make a standalone page, clone, do your minor edits that you need to, and then using navigation, which is right here underneath website, you can create whatever menu bar you want. So you can just grab, you know, your URLs for your about or your contact or your work with me, whatever it is that you have. You make the menu bar, and then you use that menu bar on those pages that you are using to function like your site. Clear as mud?
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah, she says with half glazed eyeballs. I get it.
It's something that it just, like you don't find out about it usually until you already built your site. And then you go to try and do something as you learn more, and you're like, well, why can't I do this? And you're like, well, it's a site page. You can't do it with a site page. You got to have it over here. So I always like to be able to tell people as soon as, you know, they can possibly hear my voice, these are how they function. Then choose the one that's going to function the best for what it is you're trying to do.
Right. Very
But
helpful.
That's how those two function together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's see, what else do we have that can tie into that? Okay, so we did site, we did cookie, we did about, gamification. Okay. I don't think I'm going to try and tackle any of those other new topics today because we'd be here all day. So at least I'll just answer yours. What about a non-compete agreement for students taking a course so they don't steal the instructor's content and use it to teach their own course? If you use the purchase terms, it says right in there, you can't take the intellectual property. But you can't give a non-compete to students. You rarely can give a non-compete that honestly works these days anymore.
Okay, so it's not like a separate form that we have them fill out prior to or at some point in the course. Okay.
No, it would be right in your.
Yeah, I just put it. I'll have to go back. I think it's about what I put in there was about that we reserve the right to cancel the course if we don't have enough students. But I'll have to revisit that and see if I put it in there.
Yeah, anything like that, you put it in your purchase terms, and especially if you're going to cancel something, that's always a good thing to, yes, keep it in the purchase terms, but also in that offer checkout area, I would make it abundantly clear, you know, let me show you what I'm talking about.
Put it in the verbiage.
Put it in the verbiage, make it so easy. Can you guys see Kajabi?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So under offers, if there's, I'll call the highly, highly important pieces, like, hey, we do reserve the right to cancel this if it doesn't fill the way that we need it to fill. Under edit checkout, so in the service agreement area, here we go. So when I say make it abundantly clear, I would do something that would draw their attention to it.
Okay.
So there, you know, it's there. when you do that, which is a very normal, thing, keep in mind, you will have to eat the PayPal costs. So the PayPal or the Stripe fees that you paid with the money coming in, those are just going to be cost of canceling. So
Right.
if you, and I really only had, I think, one that I know, and I don't know if the second one ended up doing it this way or not, but like it was a hard fast. If we don't hit 25 people, this is not running under any circumstances. And I was like, okay, well, what if 23? They're like, no, if it's not 25, we don't run. I said, okay, then what I would do in that situation, I would only take half the money up front so that you're not eating. It was a significant amount of money. I was like, otherwise you're eating, like if it's 24 and you're telling me you absolutely under no circumstances are going to run it, to me, that's the worst case scenario. I was one away, and for whatever reason, they had a valid reason, I now need to refund 24 fees. Well, I would be much happier refunding 24 half fees than 24 full fees. And then they gave them 48 hours to submit the rest of the payment, and they didn't have any issues. So that's one thing to just keep in the back of your, noodling out over here. But like I said, I've done this for a long time now, and I've only had that one instance. And I was like, really? You had 24, and it was a multi-$1,000 thing. Like, no, 25 and we don't run. I was like, okay, all righty. Then let's charge half so you don't have to eat.
Right. So you would put the non-compete in that same agreement part where you, to make it clear that, like you did for the agreement, if we don't have enough enrollment, it would go in that same part, or would that be in a
I
different?
wouldn't. I would put it, I would keep it. Let me open up the purchase terms just a second. You can absolutely, you can pull it out. You can put anything that you want to.
Right, exactly.
But where I, it's coming. You guys see Google?
Yes.
Okay. So right here, no transfer of intellectual property. So in Bambi, this is all, well, because you're working on it right now.
VisilBox, yeah, that's what I'm doing today.
Yep, this is all in there. So the no transfer of intellectual property, keep it, this stays here. If I wanted to make it obvious, I would go here. I would put it in plain English. Come on. Thank you. Something to that effect. Like plain English, you can't, take this, copy it, go over here. Now, with all that said, people copy. If they want to copy it, they're going to copy it. And unless it is, well, if they do, at that point, you're talking to an attorney you know, like, and trust about the situation, because most of the times, the practicality of it is, don't fight it, because the only people that are going to win are the lawyers. Like, you're going to spend so much in fees, it's not even worth it. Someone in PBK Gold is going in this, right now, and he's like, look, I'm not going to fight it. It's not worth paying attorneys for, and he can only go as fast as we can go, and he's not allowed to re-enroll. So, go at it. But I will say it's really few and far between at this point when I see those situations anymore. Very different than 2012, 2013. It was rampant back then, but not so much anymore.
Why do you think that's changed?
I know that, there were lawyers involved. I did a lot of behind the scenes cleanup in lots of online courses during those years. So I think people that tried it was like, really, you didn't learn this in kindergarten, that you're not allowed to copy like from someone else's paper? Like, how did you think that was okay? But most of them, where like you would see those sites that say, oh, you could buy whoever's course for 99 cents. Most of them were Trojan horse virus infections. Like, they didn't have the course, they just made it.
I just ran across one of those the other day.
Like, it's like, oh, buy this entire $4,000 course for 99 cents. They don't have the course. They have a virus that will infect your computer when you download it. But most people don't tend to buy the knockoff stuff. And people that are copying, especially if they're in the States or Canada or the European Union, you can go after them. And you can shut the site down, which is pretty easy to do. But the countries that I have a very hard time pronouncing, and I'm not sure I could ever catch a flight to them, you're never going to track them down. So I think the industry evolved. I think people moved on to different scams or whatnot, or, word gets out pretty quick. Oh, you totally ripped off whoever's model. It spreads like wildfire, and that person has, like the scarlet "I stole something" letter on their shirt. So kind of kills their business. So I think there were multiple factors. But yeah, it hasn't happened. Nothing significant recently that I've seen.
Yeah, the reason I am asking that is because this has happened to the instructor several times. And, again, she didn't fight it, but she's just trying to nip it in the bud, that, make it clear that please don't, if you're going to take my information or some of the downloads that we give them, that you at least give her credit for the information.
Yeah, put it front and center. You can take this, you can't go and then make your own competing course, because yes, you need the legal terms to cover yourself. But what also plays into your favor is when you have stuff that is clearly written in plain, understandable language. If it ever does get into a legal situation, to be able to say in the court, look, we had it in our terms, and it was right here on the checkout page. You can't take our course and then go create a competing course. It's exactly what Joe or Susie just did. The judge looks at it and goes, yeah, there was nothing confusing. Like, did you click that you agreed to this? So it ends up covering you, because it wasn't, 3 pages of legalese where the person could say, oh, well, I didn't really understand, and did it. You can't buy this for the purpose of copying and then selling. What was confusing about that, Mr. Joe or Ms. Susie? Wiggle, 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 wiggle. No. All right. Well, I need to wrap up for today. But
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You are so welcome. I said, if there's anything you specifically want me to cover, you can always just send me a message.
Yep.
But we'll keep working through
these
other ones too.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.